Laheating, hello everyone and welcome to my Queer channel. I'm your host Queer-chan and today we're going to continue taking a look at the ChibiPokeHouse line. Now, in my first video in this set we had a look at my favourite set in the line, and I did say that if it got a reasonable amount of interest I would continue the set of videos. Well, it did get a bit of interest in the various groups that I posted it in. I'm still not certain at this moment as to whether or not I'm going to commit to the entire line, meaning both the larger sets and the clamshell style sets, but I think for the time being I'm actually just going to do the larger sets, and if those go well, if that set goes well, that series of videos goes well, then I'll definitely do the clamshell style sets. There are 3 clamshell style sets I will probably do regardless of whether or not I do them all. They are the legendary bird sets, and in an upcoming video you'll understand why, because they actually tie in to one of the sets I'm going to review. Now today we're going to take a look at another one of the sets I had as a child. I say that, but this isn't unfortunately the original set. Very much like the first set I reviewed, the original one of these unfortunately got lost in our move from Israel. The one that I have in my possession today I found on Yahoo Japan about, oh gosh, 6-7 years ago at this point. I got an amazing deal on it actually. It was in a large lot of sort of different figure sets. I got the set I'm about to show you complete with figures, even though I've actually still got the figures from my original set. It had another ChibiPokeHouse set, which I didn't have, again complete with figures and everything. It had a sort of a Pokemon playmat that was based on the 5th film. It had Altamir and Latios and Latias figures, and it's just a very fun little sort of playmat. Unfortunately, I'm probably not going to review that. It does sit on a shelf since I've got nowhere to display it at the moment. And then the final thing was a sort of I don't know how to describe it. It was shaped a bit like a book, and when you opened it, it had probably between 70 and 100 little transparent, translucent figures of, I think, some of the first Digimon characters. Now, growing up, I did have a bit of a fondness for Digimon. I don't know anything about it. I just had a few of the toys and a mild sort of interest in it as it related to Pokemon somewhat. So that was a nice little bonus. I've got that, again, on a shelf or in a box somewhere as well. I won't be reviewing that. Instead, today, we're going to have a look at the Type B ChibiPokeHouse. Now, I mentioned this in my last video, I believe. As you can see, it's based on the Crystal Mansion from the 3rd Pokemon film. In my opinion, it is easily the most beautiful of any of the ChibiPokeHouse sets, including the clamshell sets. I absolutely love the paintwork that they've done on it, this sort of the ombre effect from purple into blue and then up the top to pink. It's just a very, very beautiful little set. We'll just do a sort of a go around so you can see it from all angles. Ironically, one of the most beautifully painted areas is actually at the back here. I don't know why, they've just done a superb job with the shading and whatnot into purple. So yes, overall it's just, I mean, visually, as you can see, it's an absolutely gorgeous little set. The tree set that I reviewed last time may be my favourite, but this is certainly visually my favourite. It's just absolutely beautiful in my opinion. Unfortunately, as I'm sure you can see, it is quite a small set. I've got fairly small hands, as you know, and yet I can cover a fairly significant part of the set just with my bare hands alone. And of course, due to its size, it doesn't have as many features as the Type D did. We'll just go over those now, actually in a minute. First, we'll just sort of go over the various different areas in the set. As I've said, it is a recreation of the Crystal Mansion from the third Pokemon film, and I think they've done a very nice job sort of recreating the different areas in the mansion itself. For some reason, for the longest time, I thought it had the gazebo in it in this area. As you can see, it does not. That would have been a very fun addition, but at the same time it probably would have cluttered it a bit too much. So you've got the nice little field area with a very lovely crystal flower. I'm not sure why that's there. Not complaining, of course. Then you've got the beach area, the nice little stairs leading up to it, and of course the bedroom area where the young girl was, I believe her name was Molly in the English version, where she was sort of held up in the film. And I absolutely love that they've included the little bed, picture frame which presumably had her father in it, and the little laptop. It's such a fun little area, I think. Unfortunately, as I've said, it doesn't have, despite the fact that it has, you know, a very nice recreation of the different areas of the film, including the sort of the time-space area in between, it doesn't have too many features. And in my opinion, the features that it does have, they're not the most interesting, especially not compared to what we've seen on the Type D set. The first feature, for example, if you twist the tree here, you get a little pop-up of Mantine, who I believe featured quite heavily in a Pokemon battle actually in the beach area. I think it actually took place underwater, didn't it? It's been a long time since I've seen the film, and to be honest, the film was not my favourite of the Pokemon films. I don't think it had quite the same kick. Well, speaking as as I was as a young child, I didn't think it had quite the same kick as the second, fourth, or fifth films. So it was never really my favourite, although the scenery in the film was absolutely gorgeous, and, you know, again, they've done a really good job of recreating that in the set here. The second feature is one of those features you would think would work well in theory, but in practice it's just a good way to lose your Pokemon toys. As you can see here on the ledge, there's a sort of a white square area and a sort of a lever back here. Now I'm just going to get out one of the figures that's included in the set. I'll go through those in just a moment. Get out Pikachu here. Now if you set him on the square area, you can flip him off. Insert your own joke here. And as you can see, the set flashes. It looks alright on camera, but in person, the red I think is a little bit too obnoxious. It would have been nice to see it sort of flash perhaps a blue colour to go with the crystals, but again, I'm not complaining. I think it's supposed to be a sort of a battle feature. I cannot remember, I think there might have been a battle between Entei and Charizard towards the end of the film, and that's actually what they advertised on the box with the figures. They placed there was an Entei and a Charizard included with the set, and I'll show you in a minute. They put the figures on the set here, and I think you're supposed to sort of make them fly, but obviously physics don't work like that, really. The final feature, as I'm sure you've seen, is the spinning unknown wheel. Now that was actually one of the main things that drew me to this set when I was looking at it on the Pokemon Center website as a young child. I don't know what it was, but I had such a fascination with this wheel and I wanted to turn it so badly. So how you do that is, again, there's just a little lever that you spin in the back here and it produces a very nice holographic hypnotic effect. And for those people who are wondering, yes, I am sad enough to have gone through this, and I can confirm that they have every unknown from the alphabet on the wheel. I've confirmed that a number of times growing up. The only ones that they don't have, obviously, are the question mark and the exclamation point, as those came later, I believe, in Generation 3, didn't they? When they released Fire Red and Leaf Green. Other than that, though, there's not too much more to the set. As I've said, compared to the previous set that I reviewed, it's small, it's not quite as, fun or as interesting, I don't think, but for an imaginative child, this will give endless entertainment. I admit I had so much fun playing with this as a child. I'm almost sad it actually just sits on a shelf now. Oh, before I forget, one thing I actually did forget to mention in the ChibiPokeHouse Type D review was this sort of indentation. Now, the tree set had it as well. There's 2 on each of the larger sets, and what it is in each of the sets, I think in each of the sets at least, or it could have only been some of them, but they included a little bridge accessory. Now, this is the bridge accessory that came with the Type D. I don't believe the Type B had one, and if it did, it is long lost, unfortunately. How it works is that you can see underneath here, there's a small indentation on the bridge. You slip that over the pegs, and you can connect it to another set. They're all at the same height, so they all connect absolutely seamlessly, and if you get all of them, you can actually make a very fantastic little Pokemon world. Now, unfortunately, I can't do that because 1, I don't have enough bridges, oops, and 2, I don't have enough space at the moment, but I did think it was very interesting because in one of my Star Wars reviews, I went over the Micro Machines Action Fleet mini scene that had, I think it was Theed Palace, and if you've seen that, you'll remember that it came with a small panel which also allowed you to connect all the sets in the line together and make, again, a sort of a mini world. The funny thing is that both those and the ChibiPokeHouse line came out at exactly the same time. So it's not a matter of one copying the other. In fact, I actually doubt that, you know, the makers of the 2 sets probably even knew that, you know, each other's sets even existed. But I do think it's actually quite cool that you've got these 2 completely different lines from, again, my 2 absolute favourite franchises in the world that had this exact same feature on one of their toy lines. It's probably not that amazing when you get right down to it. I mean, it's probably sort of logical that a number of sets probably would do that, but I still think it's quite cool. The figures included in this set, there were 5, which is sort of an average number, actually, for the sets. There were some that came with more, some that came with, in some cases, a lot less, but we'll just go through those right now. These, I'm very proud to say, are actually the original figures that I had from my first set. The set unfortunately got lost, but I did manage to hold on to the figures themselves. As I mentioned before, you get a Charizard and an Entei, and yes, these figures are ridiculously small. Fanpy, however you pronounce it, Teddiursa, and of course your standard Pikachu. Now, when I first started collecting, well, I shouldn't actually say collecting, when I first started acquiring the ChibiPokeHouse toys as a young child, this was actually somewhat deceptive to me. I assumed at first that the figures included with the set were actually the standard sized figures. Now, as you can see, these are probably anywhere from, you know, half to a third the size of a standard Pokemon figure, especially the really tiny ones like Fanpy. And as a result, I actually thought these sets were going to be a lot bigger than they actually were. So when the set actually arrived and I pulled out this absolutely microscopic box, I have to admit it did throw me off at first because I was expecting these much larger sets, perhaps closer to the size of the maybe not quite as big as the ones they released during the Sinnoh line of toys, but something a bit, you know, sort of more, I don't know how to say, playable. That's not to say, of course, that I did not have a load of fun with this set as a young child. And again, if you've got a young child who is getting into Pokemon, depending on how, you know, much you're willing to sort of spend on their behalf, I can wholeheartedly recommend getting them this set. Or if you're a collector, I think this is one of the must-haves in the ChibiPokeHouse line. Again, it is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful set. Unfortunately, however, it is one of the hardest sets to find. I think I've only seen one on eBay in the last, gosh, 6 years, perhaps as long as I've been collecting these. To put that in perspective, compared to the ChibiPokeHouse itself, I have seen holographic Newt Gunray on eBay about 4 or 5 times in comparison. So that's how much harder these were to find in the Western world, because they had such a limited Western release outside of you know, the Pokemon Center online shop. And I do apologise for the noise just then. My neighbours just came in. So really, at this point, realistically, the only place you're likely to find this will be on the Japanese sort of auction and second-hand websites. I acquired this on the Yahoo Japan auction site. Again, for that you will need a deputy service. I briefly touched on that in my last video. I'm going to put a link below to my ChibiPokeHouse archive website, and I've got an FAQ section which should answer a number of questions regarding deputy services and what to look for. Also on the page, I believe I put a number of search terms that you can use that are actually in Japanese that the various websites will actually accept in their search box. So if you're looking to collect these, have a look on the website for a few resources. You'll have to be patient with this set. As I said, it comes up very, very infrequently. But they will turn up. Mine did, obviously, and I've seen it a few more times on the Japanese website since, and if you get very, very lucky, you might even find one on eBay. The eBay ones, however, tend to be a lot more expensive than the Japanese ones. On the reverse, however, once commission fees and double shipping are worked into the Japanese auctions, you're probably very likely to not pay that much less, if not pay a little bit more than if you would find one on eBay. So, that covers this set. As I've said, I think I'm going to continue doing the larger sets, and if that gets enough attention, I will do the smaller clamshell style sets as well. For now, though, thank you very much indeed for watching. I do appreciate it. If you've liked what you've seen, give it a like, give it a share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. There are weekly, well, more than weekly, I'd say or thrice a week videos, various collection pieces. Right now I'm doing Pokemon. I've done Star Wars up until now, and I'm branching out into other collection lines and hopefully a bit of narration as well. So if you're enjoying the ramblings of a mad woman, please feel free to hit that like button and that subscribe. So, for now though, thank you very much indeed for watching, and may the Force and Neimoidians and Pokemon be with you.